videos don't typically make me want to get up and like react to it. I'm not a react like streamer or like YouTuber. That's not the type of content I like making, but sometimes there are just videos that I really want to make a response to, and hopefully we can have a discussion with this video in the comment section down below. Those of you might have actually seen the video, but if not, but if you haven't, I'm talking about UltraViolet's recent video, I will not give Need for Speed Unbound a second chance. There's nothing personal to him. Don't go and harass him or anything. In fact, I actually think you should watch this video like by itself before you see me react to it. I have the video linked down below in the description. So watch his video like first without me stopping and interjecting to get like the full picture of his video, and then come back and watch my response. And as God's strongest Need for Speed defender, I need to respond to it. I'm not gonna sit here and just have like the full video going in. I'm gonna be cutting into interjections of things that I find questionable or just things I completely disagree with. That's why I want you guys to watch like the actual full video by itself before you come here for my reaction. That way you'll get the proper context.
As of Unbound's launch, the game has received 7 volumes of content drops periodically, which adds view cars, customization, and that's mostly it.
Nah, hold up. We can't be saying that. We can't be saying that. Summing up Need for Speed Unbound's updates as just a couple new cars and customization is, you are underselling that at best, okay? Need for Speed's updates at their core are not even really about the cars or the customizations. Sure, they add brand new customization. They've been adding some new stuff, new body kits, new cars, new like bits and bobs to the vinyl editor, but that's not really the meat and potatoes of most of these updates. Especially with the new year of content, the main meats and potatoes have been gameplay additions, which are completely free, such as the PvP lobbies, the specialty playlists, like the Need for Speed, like the themed playlists that you have, like the original Need for Speed, like stuff. And then obviously in the latest update, you have the underground inspired stuff, the drag overhaul, the drag racing addition to the game, the drift racing overhaul, which adds so much more content to the game, just gameplay wise, and it adds a whole new like physics model to the game. And even the previous updates from last year added in new content to the game, such as the linkups. They added in gauntlet playlists. They added in so many other things to the game. Just saying that these updates already, this is a massive red flag just already. Saying that these updates are just cars and body parts, I don't know how you missed that.
I started up the single player, looked for new events, and there was nothing.
That was your problem. That was your first problem. Loading in the single player. And this is actually something I agree with. It would be really cool to see all these content additions be added into single player. I'm not really sure. I'm guessing they're 2 different frameworks, and they were really only pushing stuff into the online, which sucks. It's like a GTA Online, GTA 5 situation. And I know there's a lot of people who play Need for Speed games for the single player. They don't really care about the multiplayer. And that sucks how they don't add stuff into the single player.
Really confused as to why nothing had actually changed about my game. And after a bit of digging online, something you should never have to do if a game is well made, I found out the reason.
Huh? That's a very poor way to gauge if a game is good or not, is if I have to look something about the game online. God forbid. Hearts of Iron 4. I have no fucking clue how to play that game. I have 60 hours in. The amount of time that I've went and spent Googling stuff, looking stuff up. Same with Civ 5. Like, these games are very complex. Granted, Need for Speed is nowhere near complex as Hearts of Iron 4 or Civ 5. They're not the best examples, but I've gone and looked up I went digging online multiple times for those games. Now, are those games poorly made? Far from it. Civ 5 and Hearts of Iron 4 are amazing games. So that's a very sussy statement right there.
So, in other words, the version of the game that I play, the version of the game where I grinded up enough money to buy every car and upgrade them all, is being completely neglected in favor of the mode that I haven't touched at all. What this means is because I'm someone who
I mean, that's cool and all. I get some people like aren't a big fan of the multiplayer. I was actually in a very similar situation to this guy. I was not a big fan of Lakeshore Online. I thought it was super sweaty and the grinding was like not that great. This is like launch, you know. I actually spent the majority of my time for the first couple months of the game in the single player, just grinding the single player, getting all the cars that I wanted. And I obviously got bored. I put the game down for a couple months, but then I picked it back up. They added in, they patched the, they made it easier to make money in the game. It wasn't as grindy in Lakeshore Online, and I came back and I've been having a hell of a time. You can't just limit yourself, even if you don't think you'll like something, you can't just limit yourself to a specific part of the game and then complain when that part of the game gets boring. You know, that's something that I've personally discovered. Like, I'm a creature of habit, and I do this a lot in a lot of games, and then I get bored of the games and I wonder, wait, why am I bored of this game when I haven't tried half of the other things that the game's offering? This is coming from someone, like, the perspective of someone who's been in that position before. Also, this is something I wanted to talk about. Again, nothing personnel, kid. Nothing personal to UltraViolet or Moses here, but they teach this in film school. And trust me, I've met some very pretentious people. There's so many pretentious people in community college film school, all right? So I went to school for TV film, and one of the things that we get taught in film school is the idea of thought leaders. So basically, a thought leader, if you don't know, is not what you're thinking it is. It's not that. A thought leader is basically a corporate way of an influencer, basically an influencer, someone who's leading ideas and leading thoughts. And that's actually what a lot of these video essay channels are. They're thought leaders nowadays. Video essays are the meta on YouTube. And the meta on YouTube, and just with media in general, is negativity or conflict, okay? That's what really, like, hooks people in. It's why the news that's why people are addicted to the news, and that's why people are addicted to TV, like, that's about negativity or like suspicion or like conflict. You know, that's what really draws people in. Content about everything being happy and good and like great doesn't sell. And when you put that in video essay form, you've got like a ×2 multiplier. But here's the thing, at the end of the day, if you talk like you're in a position of authority, people will just believe you. It doesn't matter what you say, if it's wrong or right, people will just believe you, as long as you talk like you know what you're talking about. And I'm getting wildly off track here, but I just also want to talk about just the way he talks and and again, there's nothing personal about this, but I just can't get over the fact that when people talk like the way he does, there's an air of not pretentiousness, the idea with the way he talks, the very professional way that he talks. Almost ASMR, not quite ASMR. I'm struggling to put my words into like actual proper words, but the way he talks makes him sound like he's super, like he's the authority on this matter. Again, nothing personnel. You're allowed to talk the way you want to on YouTube.
So if you want the short answer, the reason I won't be touching Need for Speed Unbound again is due to the utterly absurd decision to split the multiplayer and single player into 2 separate games, meaning
I think he's really kind of making a mountain out of an anthill here. Making money in Lakeshore Online is not hard. It's very easy. I actually just started a new profile on Xbox, and it's not hard to make money whatsoever. Some of the challenges to grind stuff is like kind of shitty, but at the end of the day, he's making it seem like he would have to spend like upwards of 100 hours to get what he wants and to get like a good experience playing Lakeshore Online, which is not the case. Like, he's making it seem like it's a Grand Theft Online level grind when it's not. And I just can't get over people saying we want more progression in racing games, we want to earn our way to the top cars, but then when they're presented with actual progression, people start complaining. Just an observation. Just an observation, man. I'm just saying it how I see it.
The 2 separate games, meaning that I don't have access to my content in the other, so therefore I'm not going to play it. But
you do have access to your content. In fact, if you actually complete the single player completely, if you've played through the single player, you unlock a ton of cars just right out of the gate for multiplayer. Granted, you don't have your specific cars, but he's acting like you don't have access. You have to pay again to play online with all the content that you have from single player, which is not the case. And he's making it seem like he has to start completely from scratch if you play the single player, which is also not the case. Again, he's making a mountain out of an anthill, and he's making it seem as like it's like some large fucking trek to like get the money that you need, when in reality it doesn't take that long.
In order to try out this new content, I'd have to trudge through yet another battle pass. And not a free one, mind you. No, $15 to get, let's count here, 1, 2, oh no, that's it, okay, 2 new cars.
I don't know if this makes my argument better or worse, but the $15 is not for 2 cars, it's for 1 car. The BMW M3 Touring, you get completely free. If you do the free battle pass or the free speed pass or whatever, you get that car for free just by playing the game, you know? The Mustang, on the other hand, that is the paid edition. So $15 for 1 car or $15 for 2 cars. I don't know which sounds worse, but you do get a free car. You do get that car for free just by playing the game. So he's incorrect with that. I don't know, again, I don't know if that helps my argument or it doesn't, but like, I'm just, you know, that's just what it is. And yeah, I get it. Battle passes suck. Monetization sucks. But at the end of the day, you gotta make money, bro. It's all about money, you know? Need for Speed is not the first and it's not the last game to do this, you know? And I'll be completely honest, compared to other games, I think it's pretty fair.
Sorry, but no, this is utterly inexcusable. Especially when we compare it to the competition. Let's say, for instance, I wanted to spend $15 on Horizon 5. For that money, I could buy a pack containing 7 cars, none of which I have to needlessly grind for. Oh.
That's great and all. Also, you don't need to needlessly grind for the cars. If you buy the speed pass, I'm pretty sure you just get the cars right out of the gate. As opposed to if you had the free speed pass, you just unlock the car throughout the game. So you don't need to grind for the cars if you pay the money. And again, we're kind of comparing apples to oranges. I mean, it's easy to compare Need for Speed to Forza, but at the end of the day, Forza is in a much better position with their development team and with their publishing studio. They have a lot more freedom. They have a lot more flex. We're talking about a studio with 300 employees versus a studio with maybe like a team of 40 last time we checked. And we're also talking about a game that sells more than Need for Speed. I mean, it sucks. I wish everything could be coming for free in a Need for Speed game, but that's unfortunately not the situation we're in. I think comparing it to Forza is a little disingenuous, considering that they're obviously in the better position than Need for Speed is.
If this isn't bad enough, I decided to take a look through the rest of Unbound's shop to see what was on offer. You can buy a single Audi for $8. One car. $8. Alternatively, you can buy 2 more Audis for only $5. What a steal.
And again, he hasn't played the game. He hasn't played Unbound. So I can excuse him in a sense, spreading some misinformation considering he hasn't played the game. But at the end of the day, what he's saying is not correct. So yes, unfortunately, if you did not play the game through Volume 6, you will have to chalk up a couple bucks to buy the Audis. But if you actually played the game during Volume 6 and you played through the entire speed list, if you actually played through the speed pass during Volume 6, you actually got the R8 and the S5 for free just for playing the game. RS6 Avant Wagon, that on the other hand, something that you had to pay for. And that car pack comes with, I believe, the different variants that you get throughout the playlist. And then the Volume 6 Dynamic Catch-Up Pack is for everything that you missed in the premium pack. A little confusing, I know, but at the end of the day, this isn't the worst that I've seen. Just wait till he finds out the DLC cars.
Want this $9 Nostalgia Bait pack that was also in the base game of Heat? If I see a...
Again, not defending this. Not defending the fact that it's like a $10 to like buy like the nostalgia pack, but at the end of the day, you can also drive these cars for free in plenty of the PvP playlists, especially the underground themed ones. Again, he hasn't played the multiplayer, so he wouldn't know that, but I'm just saying.
A single car.
And it's also completely optional. None of these cars are really gonna be any game changers for you.
They have left of their diehard fans to scrounge any little dollar out of them that they can, and it's ludicrously pathetic. Oh, and before I forget, just look at this.
Oh, yep, there it is. There it is.
Need I repeat myself?
Again, this shit's completely fucking optional. Like, I think he's making a big mountain out of an anthill here. Like DLCs here that cost like a fuck ton of money when this is all completely optional. And I think it looks hella tacky. I play the game just fine having not purchased any of them. You can play Need for Speed and not care about any of this stuff. You can play Need for Speed and not care about any of this shit. It's not a big deal. The crux of my argument is that this is not a big deal. He's making it seem like it's a huge fucking problem when in reality it's not as big as a problem as it is. It's alarmistism. I don't really know the fucking words for it. I'm not a scholar, so
I was just gonna write a short video on why, if this game needed updates to sustain itself, it has failed as a well-made video.
Wait. What the fuck? Again, I say this in the nicest way possible, but what the fuck? A game needing updates to sustain itself is a failed game? That's a new one. We're moving the goalposts quite a bit here with that one. I think I get what he's trying to say, but he said it in a very poor way. Well, I think what he's trying to say is if a game needs updates to fix some problems at launch, it's failed at being a bad game, which I also completely disagree with. Battlefield 4, I love Battlefield 4, best Battlefield game in my personal opinion, but when that game came out, that game was absolute dog shit on launch. Games should be releasing in better states, but personally, Unbound came out in a pretty okay state. The game was pretty good on launch. I enjoyed it. Granted, it wasn't as feature-rich as other Need for Speed games, but it's turned around, and now it's probably the most feature-rich Need for Speed game in the past 10 years. And it's only getting more content, and it's only getting better. So I still don't understand what he's trying to say here. As a scholar would put it, I'm hella confused.
However, this sheer greed has completely turned my attention away from that and towards how utterly inexcusable this is. If you're watching this, I hope you can come to the conclusion that this is a complete scam. And to
No, again, we're using very alarmist terminology here again. Need for Speed Unbound is not a scam. A scam is where you put money into something and you don't get anything in return. If you are putting money, if you do decide to put money into Need for Speed Unbound, you are getting something in return. You're getting obviously the content that you paid for, the extra content, whether that be new cars, new body kits, etc. But you're also putting in money to put in better updates. You know, that may sound a little naive in the current year, but you're putting in money to fund a franchise or a game that you enjoy. And and you can see right what we're getting. We've got a proper content calendar. We know about content that's coming, and we've been getting a baller ass content. The last update for Need for Speed Unbound is probably one of the best updates a Need for Speed game has gotten in a decade. So we're getting proper fucking content to this game. But if you don't play the game or you don't check out the content, you wouldn't know this. That's the thing. Since he hasn't played Need for Speed Unbound, the multiplayer, he wouldn't know any of the content that's coming to the game. And we're getting, honestly, I think it's pretty bang for your buck what we're getting content-wise post-launch in Need for Speed Unbound. But again, if you haven't played the game, you wouldn't know this. And this is why I think it's actually important to actually give a game a fair shake before making a whole ass essay on it. It's actually something I'm doing right now with Need for Speed Payback. I hate Need for Speed Payback, or I've hated it, and I'm trying to give that game another fair shake, actually sitting down and trying to actually immerse myself in the game and enjoy what the game has to offer before I actually make an actual proper video on it. I'm streaming that actually live, so check it out on my YouTube. You can check out the latest VOD there. But it's important to actually play the games that you're shitting on. I could make so many fucking videos talking about how the Crew Motorfest is dog shit in an actual fucking terrible game, but I have not played that game since October. So I'm not in a position to talk about that game. Him making a video on Need for Speed Unbound is like me making a video on the Crew Motorfest when I've not played it in nearly a year.
To the conclusion that this is a complete scam, and to not support any content that this game releases until whoever it is making these decisions can get their act together and actually think about their consumers.
Wow, holy shit. So what he's saying is everything should be free. Everything post-launch should be free. I mean, I don't want to whip out a big straw man argument or anything like that. That's kind of what he's saying. I think personally, after a while, all the stuff that you have to get through a car, a speedless, should eventually become free, or you run the risk of having a Need for Speed rival situation where you cannot use the Maserati Gran Turismo unless you got unlocked it using the Overwatch app from 2013. In terms of game preservation, I think they should eventually become free or unlockable in-game.
Would you rather a well-made AAA game that you could play for hundreds of hours, or 3 body kits in Need for Speed Unbound?
I don't know. Personally, I'm not a big Final Fantasy guy. I'm not a big Trick or Street swag guy either. I get it. You can spend your money on so much better things than DLC, but you can also apply that to anything. For example, I could buy the new Elden Ring DLC, the new Forza DLC, the new Forza car pack? Would I rather buy those, or would I rather put that money into the S&P 500? Would I rather spend it on ETFs? You know, there's always something better. If you compare anything in a specific way, you can always make even the best like content sound like complete dog shit. Sure, I could spend my money on Forza, I could spend my money on Need for Speed, but I can also spend that money in the stock market, I could spend on the S&P 500, I could buy dividend stocks, I can invest in real estate. You know, at the end of the day, it's really just a matter of what you compare things to. You can make anything sound like dog shit if you compare it to the right thing. Again, I'm not defending the DLCs that he's talking about. I think all those DLCs that he's listing down there are complete ass, but at the end of the day, they're completely 100% optional, and your enjoyment of Need for Speed Unbound is not hindered by not owning those things. Case in point, I do not own any of those DLCs that he's talking about, and I play the game completely fine. Hell, I haven't even bought the premium speed passes like this year or this season. I don't even own like the Mustang, and yet my enjoyment of the game completely unabated.
Do not support a company who wants nothing more than to scam you out of your money for the most absurd things like licensing and body kits.
You just summed up nearly every single game publisher out there. I don't get, again, why is it just a Need for Speed problem? It's also a Forza problem. It's also a Ubisoft problem. Every publisher, every major publisher in the racing game scene is doing some shit to dick their customers. Why is it just a Need for Speed problem? And maybe it's because we've had worse monetization in Need for Speed in the past. I mean, look at Need for Speed Payback. The monetization in that game was worse. It was way worse than what we have today.
I'm not going to play the multiplayer because everything that I worked for is on the single player side, which has been abandoned. I am not.
So you're talking about content to the portion, so you're not talking about content that got added to the portion of the game that you just straight up don't want to play. You don't want to put even like an hour or two into the game. If he just put like an hour or two into Lakeshore Online, he would have been able to experience quite a bit of what the new updates have come out, but he didn't even do that.
Why would I consider putting effort into this game when the Crew Motorfest is casually dropping new car models into the auto show regularly with new story missions that are enjoyable? Speaking of which, have you seen this new lowrider rhythm game? This is the kind of creativity that I like to see. Okay, Buster, to put this in the nicest way possible, he's clearly trying to talk from like a moral like high point, but you can't be talking from a moral high point when you're talking about playing the Crew Motorfest and supporting the Crew Motorfest. When Ubisoft 4 fucking months ago shit-canned the Crew 1. If you want to talk about scams so much, if you want to throw the word scam around, let's talk about Ubisoft terminating the Crew 1 and preventing anybody who bought the game from playing it. I spent over $100 fucking bucks on the Crew 1 and in all its DLCs. I spent $100 on launch getting the biggest edition of the game I could. I probably spent around $200 total on the Crew 1 as a game, right? $200 of my hard-earned money in Ubisoft's pocket, okay? And we're gonna sit here and completely just ignore that. You know, I feel like I'm one of the only people nowadays who just is completely like still on about this. Like, people have just completely forgiven Ubisoft and are continuing to play Motorfest. If you want to sit here and try and boycott Need for Speed or try and boycott, you know, this game for its shitty practices and its scam practices, you should be doing the same. If you want to talk from the same moral high ground you're standing on, you gotta be boycotting the Crew, because what Ubisoft did is leagues, it's eons, you know, scummier than what EA's doing with Need for Speed. Again, I don't want to pull up the whataboutisms here, but I mean, he's been doing it on all videos, so like, I don't really care. That's, I think, what is grinding my gears the most. You know, we're just gonna casually forget about all the bullshit that Ubisoft has been pulling through the racing gaming community this year. It's not even like this happened like 5-10 years ago. This happened like 3 months ago. And I'm spitting all over my monitor, but it pisses me the fuck off when people are gonna try and sit here and say, oh, Need for Speed, oh, you're scamming, don't buy this game, don't support this game, don't support the developers. When we have Ubisoft, on the other hand,
just completely stealing people's games from their libraries, literally waltzing into people's houses, maybe not physically, and yoinking their copies of their games that they bought. So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to fucking hear it. In the nicest way possible, I don't want to fucking hear it.
And it adds a boatload of free well-made content in the next update, which it won't. I don't care.
He's saying it won't, but they literally have a roadmap of all the content they're going to be releasing, and the past 5 updates have added nothing but like awesome fun content. Oh wow, voice crack. But the last 5 updates have added nothing but like awesome, well-made content like he's describing, which is also free. It's just not the cars. He's so hung up on the actual like cars themselves and some like body kits that no one gives a shit about. He's actually ignoring the actual meat and potatoes of all these updates, completely disregarding all of the actual proper content that's coming out with the game. And that's very disingenuous.
EA has shown their hand. They've shown what they think of us as players, and
if EA has shown their hand, then Ubisoft has shown their fucking fist, okay?
Or you, or anyone. Even consider talking about such a scumbag decision. There will be no re-review. And I don't recommend anyone else to do so either. Let this game die a slow,
Jesus
pathetic
fucking
death.
Christ, bro. Holy shit.
Let this game die a slow, pathetic death.
This game like shoot your dog or something? Jesus Christ. There was no reason for him to like go that like fucking like dark at the end. Holy shit. It's a fucking racing game. No, nothing personnel, kid. Nothing personal to UltraViolet here. But at the end of the day, it's not that fucking deep. He's making it seem like this game committed a fucking atrocity or a fucking war crime, when in reality, he's so hung up on the game charging you money for cars. For cars that they're adding into the game, which is adding free gameplay content. So I want this game to die a slow, pathetic death. Like, bro, no, you're not that hard. You are not that hard, my friend. That's the type of shit that really pisses me off. And unfortunately, because the way this guy's talking, the points he's saying, a lot of people are going to take this video at face value. And that's why, even though I'm not a big React guy, I wanted to respond to this video and just get some facts straight and just actually talk about this video from an actual normal perspective, because this video is very alarmist. It's very disingenuous, and it's bringing in a lot of points that are just straight up factually incorrect, or, you know, not as big of a deal as he's making it seem to be. I felt like I was watching like CNN or like MSNBC or Fox News, like watching this video. What do you guys think about the video? Again, I have the link down below to the video in the description. Watch that video just on its own without me interjecting, because I didn't show the whole video here. I only reacted to the points. I only showed the points that I reacted to. So watch the full video down below in the description. Let me know what you think. Let me know. Let's start a discussion about this, because I really think it is important to, especially in the racing game community, talk about these topics in a little more of a fair way and talk about them in a less alarmist way. Because especially on YouTube, it is the meta nowadays to talk about everything like it's fucking dog shit or it's the best thing ever, to talk about in extremes. And that's exactly what he's doing here, when in reality, that's not the case nearly whatsoever. But that's it for me tonight. Let me think if you think I'm just a shill or whatever, or if you think I'm spitting facts. But that's it for me tonight. Thank you all for hanging out with me tonight. I'll catch you all later. And I've got a Need for Speed Payback. Speaking of video essays, I got a Need for Speed Payback essay video coming up very soon. And by very soon, I mean a couple weeks. I don't fucking know when it'll be done. But that's it for me tonight. I'll catch you all later. Have a good night, everyone.